all throughout, it was a pain point for me. So in Kentucky, you have to get the education every single year. So every year I dreaded it. Every year I was frustrated, but it never really seemed a problem that I would solve.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Awesome Inc.'s podcast, where we highlight people pursuing their definition of, you guessed it, awesome. So buckle up and get ready for some more success story adventures and failures from Kentucky's tech and entrepreneur community. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode of Awesome Inc.'s podcast. We are really stoked to have our new friend Shane from Nursing CE Central join with us today. We got to celebrate our family's community lunch today, and he stopped by, and Keith and I oriented him with a fellowship. So Shane, we are so stoked that you are here at Awesome Inc. today, and we are really glad that you're a part of the fellowship.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Seems like a very great team, great atmosphere, and we're really excited to join with you guys.
So Shane, you had the honor to get up the other day and speak at Five Across. Can you give a quick recap of what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, it was actually really fun. Like I was telling Keith, it was a good vibe. There was a lot of energy there. The other companies were very impressive, and we had a good time, actually.
I'm glad. I want to let you know you were probably the sharpest dressed man in that room. So kudos to you, brother.
We won something. So.
Well, hey, Shane, let's actually kick it off with this. What does your company, Nursing CE Central, do? How did you get started? And what's some of the background that got you on your entrepreneurial journey, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a nurse myself and a nurse practitioner. And what actually started it all was I found out there was kind of a need for a company in the industry to really come in and serve nurses. I know that sounds a little bit boring, but that's the fact. So we started with an approval to operate only in Kentucky, and the goal was to really keep it in Kentucky initially. But what we found was the content was actually evergreen, and we could serve it to nurses across the country digitally and in a high quality format. And so it kind of took off from there. Nice.
So again, you said you got a nursing degree in college?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Where'd you go for school?
So I went to Eastern for my undergrad and then UK for my grad.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And so you said you learned that, again, nurses needed to have, they needed to be retaught as their journey went on?
Yeah, not so much that actually, as nurses are required to get continuing education by the boards of nursing. But the companies that are doing it now maybe aren't doing the best job. Otherwise, there probably wouldn't be a place for us in the industry.
No, it makes sense. So when and where did you experience this problem? You said you're a nurse. When was it, I guess, in your nursing career that you said, wow, this is a big issue. I want to see if I can solve this pain point.
Yeah, actually all throughout it was a pain point for me. So in Kentucky, you have to get the education every single year. So every year I dreaded it. Every year I was frustrated, but it never really seemed a problem that I would solve at that point. So, about a year and a half ago or so, I decided this was something I could pursue. I had the educational background and the degrees required that you needed to kind of get into the field. So, it kind of took off from there. I decided let's try it out and see how it goes.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool.
Shane, how stressful was it when you decided that you wanted to solve this? Was this something that you thought that surely there are other people chomping at the bit to be the one that wins this race, or were you pretty calm and collect?
Well, actually, I didn't really set out to solve it initially. So I really set out initially just to be a player in the game. And that was kind of the goal, was to be a player in the game, provide some quality content, etc. So probably helped my own stress levels out by being pretty chill at first. But as it's went on, we saw, hey, the market's responding. Nurses are certainly liking this. And so we've changed our goals. We say we want to be the number one company now. So being a company is not really an option at this point.
Nice. That's awesome.
Shane, tell me, what kind of traction do you guys have?
So we actually have about 5,600 users.
Whoa, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah. Thanks, man. So, but the traction really just started the last few months. So we signed up about 1,000 of those users last month. And this month, I think we're on track to sign up 1,150 or 1,200. So before that, it was kind of a few hundred per month type thing, but we really figured out the marketing that works, the courses that work, and kind of our place in the industry. So now we're just kind of scaling, and trying to go as high as we can.
Yeah, being a startup, that's really cool, Shane. So I'm really intrigued. This is the most we've got to talk. How do you go about getting 1,000 plus users at one group? Do you go to a hospital? Do you go to maybe a college nursing program that's on their way out? What does that look like?
Yeah, so those are actually great ideas that we'd love to explore in the future, but for now it's all digital marketing. So Google ads, Bing ads, Facebook ads, that kind of thing. So we're really getting them at the bottom of the funnel. They're ready to purchase, and we've got some good copy and we've got some good courses, and so that's kind of where we've been grabbing them so far.
Have you experienced as much success with Bing ads as you have Google ads?
Well, that's an interesting question because Google ads is our lion's share, but Bing ads actually are exciting because there's so much less competition there. So we get much better click-through rates and better conversion rates on Bing, but there's just not as many people.
That is funny. I would not have expected that.
Me either. Well, let me ask this. So from what I've heard, there's a guy who's in our space named Morgan. He does a lot with online marketing, digital marketing, does a lot with ads. And he said there's a pretty significant age gap from people who use Google as their search engine to Bing. Is that something you're finding with the nurses that sign up?
Absolutely. So it's a totally different avatar from Google to Bing. So Google, it kind of encompasses everyone, but the Bing users are generally older, as a rule of thumb, almost always older, but they're more committal, which is kind of funny.
That's what you want for business.
Exactly.
Man, that's cool.
So yeah.
I love that. Well, Shane, keep talking. So you're solving this pain point. How do you guys see the next, since you're in the fellowship, the next 12 years panning out? What are some goals that you would like to accomplish with your company? Maybe how large your team grows, or honestly, anything works. I just want to get a couple thoughts rolling.
You said 12 years?
Sorry, I probably meant 12 months. That's my
Oh,
bad.
okay.
12 years. That's a long program.
Yeah. So, over the next year, we really need to, like Keith and I were discussing, we really need some dedicated web development. And I think at some point we need a dedicated marketing person to kind of take that over. Right now what we're doing is great. I'm enjoying it. We're having success, but I think long term we need relationships with hospitals, universities, etc., to really kind of solidify our position. And that's something I can't really work on if I'm doing the marketing and, web development and all those things.
Yeah. It's hard to be focused on one area when you're the jack of all trades. I get that.
Yeah.
Well, Shane, tell me a little bit about maybe some of your competition. So this is a pretty new concept to me, even though I went to college at UK, had plenty of friends who were nursing and are now pursuing a career in that field. I don't know much about once you're in the field, what the heck you do. So yeah, talk maybe about some of the competition in any part of the state and how you guys are different.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of kind of state-based competition. It's more national. Almost everyone is national now. But so nurses have to get this every 1 or 2 years, depending on what state they're in. So we have some competitors who have really great courses. We have some competitors who have great advertising. And we have some competitors with great platforms. But I don't see any competitor that has kind of all things figured out, everything together. So there's a lot of other great companies. Some of them have better courses than us. Some of them have better platforms than us, but we're trying to come together and have the best of everything. That's the goal. So we're learning from our competitors for sure. And we're trying to be the company that kind of puts it all together and gives nurses that exact kind of secret sauce so that when they go online to get it, they enjoy it and they get what they need.
Yeah, baby, get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Shane, tell me a little bit more about kind of your entrepreneurial journey. Did you ever suspect that you would become an entrepreneur yourself? I mean, when you were starting nursing school, I imagine you were going there to be a nurse, which you did become. And will this be the first of many entrepreneurial journeys? Is this kind of a life's work that you think you're going to dedicate yourself to?
Yeah, I guess I really enjoy this. It's pretty cool. As a kid, I like to build things up and up and up and making them better and better. And that's something I really enjoyed, and in nursing, you don't get that. You get to come in and do your job and you can do an excellent job, but you can't build upon that. So the one thing I love about entrepreneurship is you build something today and the next day you add on it, So I think I'm probably hooked, and I think I'm with this for the next 5 or 10 years. Let's grow this out and see where it goes. But there's a lot of other exciting things which I could definitely get involved in.
That's cool. So again, you're a nurse before you started this company. Where are some areas that you found both in your career, but also that you've realized, hey, this is an actual pain point I see on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
How has your service helped the everyday nurse become better?
Yeah, absolutely. So nurses have a lot of challenges, but the biggest challenge is actually keeping up with the current practice. So medical research, nursing research moves at a breakneck pace. If you learn practice today you have to be different next year and certainly different within the next 5 years. Things just change so quick as information comes out. So we're trying to give the nurses that content that they need without them falling asleep. That's the challenge.
Yeah, that makes total
So
sense.
we're trying to make it digestible, entertaining, so that they can actually learn and be up to date and not just check the box and say, oh, I took the course.
How long are the courses typically?
It depends. Most are 1.5 to 3 hours in general.
And what do you think the future? What do you think the future of these continued courses is? I mean, is it going to be mobile based? Do you think it'll always stay like on browser based on your desktop?
Well, our website is actually mobile friendly now, but I think the real future is going to be interactive education. So I think people are done with just reading. I think it's going to be interactive. It's going to be things you can click on and maybe patients you can interact with digitally. I think that's probably the next move, to keep people interested and to keep it engaging and to actually teach them better, because, when you combine all the elements, seeing something, learning something, all those things, it's much more rich than just reading text.
And is there a strength or a weakness that you would highlight about operating from Kentucky on this?
Well, that's a good question. I would say the strength is people in general are supportive. People don't necessarily understand the industry. There's not as many tech-based startups, so there's not just a ton of huge tech community probably outside of hubs like this. That's probably the downside. But again, the upside, I think, is the government. There's lots of resources for entrepreneurs. There's definitely lots of support. And I think in general, I felt supported in the journey.
Hey, Shane, man, I love hearing about the work you're doing and some of your story. Let's talk a little bit about you as a person. That's one of the main things Keith and I love doing as we're looking across the table, giving weird eye contact. So again, you ended up in Kentucky. Are you from here originally?
Yeah, so I'm from Pike County. It's about 3 hours east of here. You can tell by the accent. So.
It's nice. It's a nice subtlety. I'm from Louisville, and I don't have one of those.
Yeah.
At times, I wish I did. So you're from Pike County. You said you went to Eastern Kentucky University, EKU, and then on to UK. What is something you've taken with you as you've moved to these different parts of the state as you've grown up?
I would say the biggest thing I've taken with me is there's a lot of different ways to achieve an end. So people in Eastern Kentucky, maybe even people in Richmond to a degree, do things differently. But there's a lot of different ways to achieve an end. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat, you may say.
Ouch.
So, yeah, that's what I would say is people do things differently, a lot of different places, but there's a lot of ways to, achieve that.
Shane, tell me about your, so what's your morning routine?
Usually I'm awoken to the sound of babies. I guess they're toddlers now.
You've got a couple of them, is that right?
Yeah, twins. They're a little over 2 years old. So they usually, they're my alarm clock in the morning.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, they get us up about, 6:30 or 7, depending on how they feel. And I usually get up with my wife and, kind of get them started on their morning routine, get them some breakfast, play some games with them for 10 or 15 minutes. And then I usually head out to the office to get some work done.
Well, hey, speaking of morning routines, this is one question that we love asking all the Hall of Fame inductees when we get to sit down with them and talk about their life, their journey, and their work. What is 1 or 2 habits that you have that you think sets you apart from everyone else as an entrepreneur?
I always critique myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, every couple of weeks, I kind of look back at what I've done over the past couple of weeks or so. And I try to think, if I could do any of those tasks, even the successful tasks over, would I do them differently? And so to me, that's something that I kind of hold dear and that I try to stay true to. And it served me well, because a lot of things, we have success and we think that's good enough. But sometimes you could have done way better. So
that's good. Shane, do you have a mentor or an advisor that you trust the most?
Not necessarily, kind of a network. I have a couple of friends who have been entrepreneurs, and so they've kind of guided me and taught me some things, but I don't necessarily have one close confidant except my wife.
Sometimes it's all you need.
So, yeah, well, I can't speak for that because I'm not married. Shane, I want to ask you a couple other questions before we wrap this up. So you're part of our Lexington entrepreneurial community. We love our community, man. We're so blessed by the people who are involved and the people who continue to give and give and give and don't ask for anything in return. What's something that you do on a regular basis to be involved and help grow yourself as an entrepreneur within our community in Lexington, but also in Kentucky overall?
Yeah, I wish I had more to add to this category.
Hey, you're learning. You'll be there soon.
Yeah, exactly. But, it is one of our goals is to give back to the community. So we definitely want to, within the next 6 months to year, identify ways that we can do that and help give back and just make it a better place to be.
Man, that's awesome. Keith, you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Shane, I've just really enjoyed meeting with you, and I'm just really impressed with kind of the traction that you've been able to build as a solo founder, and I just applaud your ability. I mean, you've bootstrapped to this point, and you're open to fundraising as long as the right partnership presents itself. And I think that's such a powerful place to be. And that's a place where a lot of startups would love to find themselves, is having the option to say yes or no to accepting investment. So we're excited about the trajectory that you're on, and we believe in you, and we want to implore the Lexington community to give you the resources that you need to continue to grow. So here's to you.
Keith, that was a good mouthful. So last question we ask it to every person we sit down with. In the years that you've been an entrepreneur, what's the one thing you've learned that you wish you could go back and tell yourself day one of starting your company?
Probably to not be so harsh on yourself. Yeah. So there's a lot of mishaps and missteps at first, and that's natural. That's a part of the game. So learn from those, move on, but don't get down on yourself. Just keep going forward.
Heck yeah. Shane, you're awesome. Thanks so much for coming by. And we're pumped to see how Nursing CE Central grows over the next 12 months and years. Thanks, brother.
All right, perfect. Thanks, guys.
Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Awesome Inc. Podcast. And another quick thank you to Lee Rosevere and a few members from our community who provide the music that you hear in this show. Lastly, give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz. Or even better, come on down to our space. Come be a part of our community and get plugged in, and let's start something awesome together. You guys rock. We'll see you next time.